You're live from New Delhi, watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Leopard coming up in the next 30 minutes. Indian Prime Minister begins a visit to 3 eastern states with Jharkhand to revive third fertilizer plant in the country by dedicating Sindri fertilizer plant to the nation. Amidst the rising need for humanitarian aid, India reiterates its support for Palestinian people, affirms continuation of relief supply and assistance. And in a tragic incident in Bangladesh, at least 45 people have been killed after a fire broke out in a multi-story building. And on to the top story this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi begins his visit to 3 eastern states of India on Friday. He began the visit with Jharkhand, where he inspected Sindri fertilizer plant. He dedicated the plant to the nation. This is the third fertilizer plant that has been revived in the country after revival of fertilizer plants in Gorakhpur and Ramagundam. Later, Prime Minister will also dedicate to nation North Karanpura Super Thermal Power Project in Chhatra. Railway sector of the state will also get major boost with the Prime Minister flagging off 3 new trains. Later in the day, Prime Minister will also visit West Bengal, where he will inaugurate, dedicate and lay the foundation stone of multiple developmental projects worth 22,000 crore rupees. Prime Minister will also lay the foundation stone of Raghunathpur Thermal Power Station Phase 2, besides inaugurating Haldia Barauni crude oil pipeline. Several other projects related to infrastructure, rail, road, LPG supply and waste water treatment to be the key focus areas in West Bengal. Well, on Saturday, Prime Minister Modi will be in Bihar, where in a significant boost to the energy sector, nationwide projects worth 1.48 lakh crore rupees related to oil and gas sector will be taken up. And moving on, voicing grave concern over the situation in Palestine, India reiterated its support for Palestinian people and affirmed continuation of relief supply and assistance. Speaking at the 55th session of UN Human Rights Council, Indian envoy to UN, Ambassador Arindam Bakshi, said that the conflict must not spread within or beyond the region and a 2-state solution is necessary more than ever before.
The situation in Palestine continues to be of grave concern, with large-scale loss of civilian lives, especially women and children, and an alarming humanitarian crisis. This is clearly unacceptable, and we strongly condemn the death of all civilians. Mr. President, we must be clear that terrorism and hostage-taking are unacceptable and deserve our unequivocal condemnation. India has a zero-tolerance approach to terrorism. The return of hostages is imperative. We must also be clear about the universal obligation to observe international humanitarian law. Further, there is an immediate need for a sustainable humanitarian corridor to provide relief. The conflict must not spread within or beyond the region. And let me emphasize that a 2-state solution is necessary more than ever before. These are not choices, these are all musts, and unless we are able to address all of them, we are not going to really solve the problem. India, on its part, will continue to support the Palestinian people through our bilateral development partnership, and we will also continue to send humanitarian assistance to the people of Palestine.
And second India-Italy bilateral consular dialogue was held in New Delhi on Thursday. The dialogue between the 2 strategic partner countries reinforced the strong people-to-people ties and cooperation that both countries share across consular issues of mutual interest. Both sides discussed ways of enhancing cooperation on a wide range of issues, such as quicker visa processing, mobility of students and professionals, safe and legal migration, MMPA, protection of vulnerable women and children, and enabling smooth travel of their respective nationals. Both sides agreed to hold the next consular dialogue in Rome on mutually convenient date. And Microsoft co-founder and philanthropist Bill Gates met India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the national capital in New Delhi on Thursday. Discussions in the field of agriculture, health and climate held in the meeting. Both also discussed the lessons we can take from the world. After the meeting, Prime Minister tweeted, and I quote, "A wonderful meeting indeed. Always a delight to discuss sectors which will make our planet better and empower millions of people across the globe," unquote. Also, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the significant increase in India's leopard population, saying it is a testament to the country's unwavering dedication to biodiversity. On Thursday, Union Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav released a report on which India's estimated leopard population rose from 12,852 in 2018 to 13,874 in 2022. Madhya Pradesh has the maximum number of leopards in the country at 3,907, up from 3,421 in 2018. Reposting the Environment Minister's post on the report on Twitter, Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Great news. This significant increase in leopard numbers is a testament to India's unwavering dedication to biodiversity. I compliment all those who are part of the various collective efforts towards wildlife protection, paving the way for a sustainable coexistence," unquote. And in a significant move in semiconductor space, the Indian cabinet has approved the setting up of 3 semiconductor units. Hailing the decision, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "With this, we are further strengthening our transformative journey towards technological self-reliance." He added that this will also ensure India emerges as a global hub in semiconductor manufacturing. And for the first time in the world, an Indian company has developed a kit that can convert any two-wheeler into a hybrid vehicle. Electronic vehicles are the future of transportation, but there are many fears in the minds of customers about EVs, like low range and charging problems. A solution to these problems has now been found in India. And in Thailand, thousands of devotees continue to pay respects to the holy relics of Lord Buddha and his disciples Arahanta Sariputta and Arihanta Mahamoggallana in Bangkok. Sacred relics from Kapilavastu and Sanchi in India, enshrined for exposition in Thailand, India's Buddhist heritage bringing people and nations together. And now, let's take a look. And in Thailand, thousands of devotees continue to pay respects to the holy relics of Lord Buddha and his disciples Arihanta Sariputta and Arihanta Mahamoggallana in Bangkok. Also, sacred relics from Kapilavastu and Sanchi in India, enshrined for exposition in Thailand, India's Buddhist heritage bringing people and nations together. Also, the 4 holy relics of 2 disciples reached Bangkok in Thailand on 22nd of February for a 26-day exposition and were enshrined on the 23rd of February for public veneration at the specially built pagoda at Sanam Luang Pavilion in Bangkok. And moving on, the 3-day International Gita Mahotsav begins from Friday at the Nelam Pokuna Theatre premises in Colombo. The Mahotsav is being organized with the financial sponsorship of India's Haryana Kurukshetra Development Board. During the recent years, the festival has been held in overseas countries. The festival will feature Gita Yagna, Gita chanting, Shobha seminar on several topics of contemporary interest and several competitions. On 4th of March, a copy of Srimad Bhagavad Gita will be presented to the Parliament of Sri Lanka. The purpose of the event is to popularize the timeless teachings of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Well, the Ministry of Women and Child Development hosted the Poshan Utsav celebrating nutrition event in New Delhi on Thursday. The event was graced by Minister Smriti Irani and Bill Gates co-chair Melinda Gates Foundation. Poshan Utsav aims to promote holistic nutrition among children by utilizing popular cartoon characters through collaboration with Amar Chitra Katha. In an effort to endorse cultural heritage and traditional nutritional practices, a Poshan Utsav book has also been curated and launched. This book serves as a comprehensive guide on food, providing insights from cultural, social, economic and scientific perspectives.
I'm grateful for your sense of adventure, for your generosity, and for your continued support to the Prime Minister's flagship scheme, Poshan Abhiyan. When the Honorable Prime Minister pronounced Poshan Abhiyan in 2018, and I'd like to contextualize a bit, that nutrition as a national effort has been undertaken since the 1970s. However, when Prime Minister Modi took office, for the first time in the history of our country, not one, not two, but 18 ministries across the government of India were brought together under the national flagship scheme called Poshan. And why so? Because the Prime Minister believes in collaboration. Collaboration and cooperative federalism was one of his governance agendas.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. India's Defence Research and Development Organisation conducted 2 successful flight tests of Very Short-Range Air Defence System missile on Wednesday and Thursday. The tests were conducted from Integrated Test Range off the coast of eastern state of Odisha. These tests were carried out against high-speed unmanned aerial targets under different interception scenarios. The targets were intercepted and destroyed by the missiles.
3, 2, 1.
National Birth Defect Awareness Month 2024 begins on Friday. Health Ministry is undertaking various activities for nationwide awareness on birth defect prevention, early identification, timely management and psychosocial impact will take place throughout the month. Marking the beginning of a crucial month dedicated to raising awareness, the Information, Education and Communication, that is IEC, was unveiled here in New Delhi. Sutra, a month-long international weaving workshop in India's southern city, Bepur, has attracted artists and weavers from across the globe since the start of February. The 3-decade-old festival saw at least 100 artists and weavers from 50 countries participate. The workshop also had an exhibition of around 300 curated tapestries by the participants. Scientists made a surprising discovery in the foothills of the Western Ghats in India of a mushroom growing out of the side of the frog. This is the first time that a mushroom has been observed growing out of a living being. The frog was not captured. Instead, the researchers took pictures of it and documented it in a note published in the journal Reptiles and Amphibians. Fungus experts identified the white growth to be a bonnet mushroom, which usually grows in dead and rotting wood. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Polish government and farmers are on the same side and have the same goal, says Polish Prime Minister after meeting the farmers. Biden and Trump walked the US-Mexico border in Texas on Thursday amidst influx of immigrants, becoming a dominant issue in November presidential elections. And no signs of resolution to South Korean doctor strike. Only 3% doctors returned to work.
The curious case of Julian Assange. The future of lunar exploration. And the biggest snake discovered in the Amazon rainforests. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Leopard Khurana, and moving on, the U.S. military conducted strikes that posed a threat to ships in the Red Sea. U.S. Central Command said in a post on X that military officials conducted strikes on Thursday against 6 mobile anti-ship cruise missiles and an aerial drone. Earlier, U.S. military intercepted an unmanned aerial vehicle over the southern Red Sea in self-defense. These actions were taken to safeguard the freedom of navigation and enhance the safety and security of international waters for U.S. Navy and merchant vessels. Well, Yemen's Houthis will introduce military surprises in the Red Sea operations. In a television speech, the group's leader, Abdul Malik al-Houthi, has said that their position is clear and operations will continue in a highly efficient manner in the direction of the Red Sea. Houthi militants have repeatedly launched drones and missiles against international commercial shipping since mid-November, saying they are acting in solidarity with Palestinians against Israel's military actions in Gaza. And gun battles broke out across the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince on Thursday, in which a gang leader said was a demonstration against the authorities. The armed clashes involving gangs, police and vigilance took place on the same day Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry arrived in Kenya for talks on the deployment of a multinational security mission in the country backed by the United Nations. Thousands fled through the streets in panic as violence forced the airport, businesses and schools to close. Special police units were also deployed throughout the city, and National Police Trade Union said 4 officers had been killed, including a chief inspector. And Ukrainian forces have pushed back Russian troops from the village of Orlivka, west of Avdiivka, but the situation on the eastern front remains difficult. Orlivka is less than 2 kilometers northwest of Lastochikne, which was occupied this week by Russian forces. Russian forces last week captured the eastern Ukrainian city of Avdiivka after a months-long assault and are pressing on other areas along the front line. Well, also, Ukraine has significantly increased its use of domestic-made weapons and military equipment as Kyiv aims to become more self-sufficient amid faltering Western military aid. Deputy Defense Minister said that use of domestically produced equipment has significantly increased, more importantly, to become self-sufficient. The minister also called for Kyiv's foreign partners to boost investment and participation in joint production with Ukrainian companies. Ukraine has also signed dozens of contracts for joint production or technology exchanges with Western allies. Meanwhile, Ukrainian president appointed Volodymyr Karpenko as new commander of country's logistic forces on Thursday. Karpenko, previously logistic commander of country's ground forces, replaced Oleh Hulyanka, who had held the position since 2021. Karpenko's appointment was the latest in a series of personnel changes in the military, including the naming of Alexander Syrsky as commander-in-chief of the armed forces in place of Valery Zaluzhnyi. Moving on, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said on Thursday, held a meeting with leaders of various farmer groups. Donald Tusk said that Polish government and farmers are on the same side and have the same goal after the meeting. Like much of Europe, Poland has been gripped by protest in recent weeks as farmers demonstrate against European Union environmental regulations. Tusk said the provisions of the Green Deal, EU's regulations meant to tackle climate change, should be lifted or suspended, and he will negotiate it within the European Union.
The farmers for sure presented different views, different political sympathies, but we all finally believe that we are on the same side anyway. Our government, me personally, and the protesters have the same goal: to protect Polish farming, Polish market, and the European market against very unfair and crushing consequences. We have decided we will prepare precise demands of the Polish side, not only the protesters but also the government, regarding changes in the Green Deal.
And moving on, US President Joe Biden will talk to Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on Friday about high-priority global challenges, including military aid for Ukraine and humanitarian aid for Gaza. They are due to hold a bilateral meeting at the White House. Caroline Malone reports from Washington for more.
The US has been struggling to get new military aid spending for Ukraine through Congress, with divisions within the House and Senate on what the priority should be for spending. But President Biden still insists the US supports Kyiv in their campaign to fight back against Russian aggression as part of a more than 2-year-long war. It's a high agenda item for Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, with Italy also holding the current G7 presidency, a role which involves coordination with allies in NATO on their security alliance. The US has also honed in on more sanctions for Russia's actions and repression, particularly for those involved in the imprisonment of the opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who died, or was killed, his family say, in prison in Russia. Well, the two leaders will also discuss preventing any more escalation of violence in the Middle East. The US has been pushing for a truce between Israel and Hamas, with Egypt and Qatar supporting talks also to get all hostages freed. But getting humanitarian aid into people who need it in Gaza has become even more difficult, with the United Nations accusing Israel of blocking shipments. And on Thursday, Israeli troops fired on a large crowd of Palestinians who were trying to get food aid from a convoy in Gaza City, killing more than 100 people. An attack that's been widely condemned, and with President Biden saying it could actually make getting to a ceasefire even more difficult. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
And moving on, US President Joe Biden and likely Republican challenger Donald Trump walked the US-Mexico border in Texas on Thursday. The duo visited the US-Mexico border amidst influx of immigrants becoming a dominant issue for the voters. Each chose an optimal location to make his points, and their schedules were remarkably similar. They each got a briefing on operations and issues, walked along the border and gave remarks that overlapped, but that's where the comparisons ended. While Trump chose inflammatory language to describe the border issue and slam his rival's policies, Biden challenged Trump to join him in united front on border security bill. And a massive fire at a 7-story building in Bangladesh's capital Dhaka has killed at least 45 people and left dozens injured. According to the fire service officials, the fire originated in a restaurant and quickly spread to other floors. Bangladesh's Health Minister Samanta Lal Sain told reporters after visiting the Dhaka Medical College Hospital that the injured are admitted with severe burns and are in critical condition. A 5-member committee has been formed to investigate the incident. Well, more than a week after thousands of doctors walked off the job, their dispute with the government shows no signs of resolution. Only 3% of the doctors protesting against the South Korean government had returned to work as on Wednesday, one day before the Thursday deadline. In an email to the protesting resident doctors delivered on Thursday, the head of Seoul National University Hospital appealed to them to be back to work, marking the first official call from a major hospital chief in South Korea urging them to resume resume their duties. The South Korean government has announced that starting in March, medical licenses of intern and resident doctors who are still absent from their post will be revoked for at least 3 months, among other legal actions. Yet off-duty doctors are still reluctant to return to work. Intern and resident doctors in South Korea have been on strike for several days, protesting against the proposed increase in medical school admissions. And news from around the world now. Dr. Ruth Gottesman, a former professor of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, is donating $1 billion to the New York City school to pay for the tuition of all of its students. With the gift, all current full-time students will have their spring 2024 semester tuition reimbursed, and all future students will attend the school tuition-free. For the first time, the University of the Philippines is offering a course to study the celebrity status of 14-time Grammy-winning singer-songwriter Taylor Swift and her impact on society. More than 300 students have signed up for the elective course ahead of Swift's Eras tour in Asia this week. Japanese archaeologists have unearthed a Hittite clay tablet in Turkey dating back 3,300 years to the era of the Hittite Empire. The tablet was discovered at the Buka ruins in central Turkey. The tablet had engravings of the Hurrian language that was used for religious rituals. South African artist Mongezi Gam is retelling the story of his roots in his most recent collection dubbed Ubomi Kwalanga. Through his art, Gam reflects on his life in the oldest township in South Africa, which was deeply rooted in community and belonging before it was affected by unemployment and crime. And in sports update, India's Teresa Jolly and Gayatri Gopi Chand advanced to the women's double quarterfinals of the German Open Super 300 badminton tournament on Thursday. The Indian pair pulled off a comfortable 21-10, 21-11 straight game win over the Czech Republic duo of Sona Horinkova and Katerina Zuzakov in a round of 16 match. The Indian duo will next play the winner of the match between Frances Corbett and Alison Lee and 6th seeds Jing He and Xu Min Liu. However, it was curtains for India, the women's and men's single events, where India's Akarshi Kashyap lost to 6th seed Mia Blechflett of Denmark in the round of 16, and Satish Kumar Karunakaran was shown the door by Ireland's Nahat Nguyen in the men's singles second round. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Leopard from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.